Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi here on this Tuesday, and we're going to start off with what's left of Tropical Storm Emily, now a weak tropical depression. And if you look on the satellite, it really isn't all that impressive. It's kind of gotten stretched out northeast to southwest. There's a center of circulation right in here. You can just barely pick it out. There's hardly any thunderstorm activity around that center. Most of it is to the north and east. Top winds this morning were 30 miles an hour, if that. And when you take a look at this in terms of the wider view, you've got this old frontal zone sitting right in here off the east coast, and it's kind of gotten back merged up with this, although it remains a small, distinct entity on the southern end of it. Now, one of two things will happen. Either this winds up just getting absorbed by the old frontal trough, and that's the end of it, or it maintains its identity and then accelerates northeastward, maybe strengthens a little bit along the way before ultimately it becomes extratropical. So this is pretty much done as far as we're concerned. In the meantime, you've got a lot of dry air still covering most of the eastern part of the United States. The bottom part of the atmosphere is turning a bit more humid, which you would anticipate. And I think what we're going to see over the next 3 days or so is the probability that we'll see some pop-up showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening. We actually saw a few yesterday, very, very isolated, pop up throughout much of the Northeast. So I'm thinking that today, as the dew points come up and the air mass saturates a little bit, that you might see some local thunderstorms in the late afternoon and evening. They would develop fast and then they would disappear just as quickly. So other than that, I think the next 3 days or 4 days matter. Take it through Friday. Much of the time it's going to be fine. If you've got summertime plans or outdoor plans, by all means go ahead with them. You actually have a pretty good week for yourselves with just that small possible storm. A little bit more moisture. You can see some clouds moving across parts of the western areas of the Ohio and Tennessee Valley back down into southwest Texas and New Mexico. A little bit of moisture there. You've got some buildups up in the northern plains and in the upper Midwest. But that's just about it. Here is on the enhanced view. You can see the higher and colder cloud tops. The depression is right in here, so it really does not look well at all. I'd be shocked if it doesn't disappear within the next 24 to 36 hours. Maybe it'll fire up a little bit over the warm waters off the southeast coast of the United States. But again, you can see where the clouds are all going, southwest and northeast. So you're not going to have this thing move up the East Coast by any stretch of the imagination. And what's happened is, by the way, when you look at the upper air pattern, and we'll take a look at it, there's a broad, very weak troughing out to the west, and sort of a broad west-southwest flow. All that really does is carry over very weak disturbances in the atmosphere, so that triggers off some of those daytime pop-ups. But other than that, you really can't get very hot with this. Sure, you can get to upper 80s to near or just over 90, but that should just about be the limit as far as the high temperatures are concerned, because you don't have a big ridge in the east to really heat up the atmosphere. It's just not there, doesn't want to be there. Let's look real fast out in the west, where we've got Tropical Storm Irwin right here. This is what's left of Hillary, by the way, just these low clouds. Irwin is barely a tropical storm. It'll be gone soon, too, as it moves northwestward parallel to the coast, and that'll be that. And here's the color enhancement view. Got a little bit of moisture into Southern California, but much of the west going on about its summertime business. Got a big storm, upper air storm sitting in the Central Pacific, and that's churning up moisture up through the Gulf of Alaska northward. So that's kind of the driving force here in the west. And if you want to draw the jet stream pattern with this, it's just kind of like this. Ridge. Maybe I'm a little bit too slopey there, but kind of a broad ridge out here in the west. Here's your deep trough offshore, troughing in the east. So the weather features are on the whole, they aren't really all that strong at the moment. Look at the Atlantic tropics the rest of the way. Some of the models yesterday were trying to do a few things with some waves in the tropical Atlantic. The overnight models really didn't do very much. Even the Canadian didn't really spin up anything. So we're just going to watch these tropical waves as they move across. Now, the upper air conditions, at least over the tropical Atlantic, seem to be a bit more conducive, or let's just say, a bit less hostile. Gone the upper low. Remember, we've had this big upper low sitting in the south central Atlantic for a couple of weeks. Well, that's gone now, and the flow's actually turned more anticyclonic, more high pressure-ish, let's say. That's a good way of putting it. And that creates light wind environment aloft and is more conducive for development. You still have some issues with dry air. You can see here patches of dry air coming off the African coast and across parts of the Atlantic. It doesn't seem to be as widespread as what we had in the past couple of weeks, but still a bit on the formidable side. You don't see as much of the cloud cover being blown off from west to east or southwest to northeast, so the wind shear conditions might be just a bit better. But we still have to see how these waves are not really all that vigorous as they're coming off. So until we start to see a little bit of power coming off the African coast, you're probably going to be limited in terms of the scope of development. All right, so the upper air pattern going forward, guess what? Trough in the east, ridge in the west, and that's really the story. Here's one that swings around for late this week and into the weekend. That'll push a front through and a shot of slightly cooler, drier air. There's another one right behind it for the first part of next week, and then there's one behind that for the second half of next week. Then that lifts out. You get a little bit of a flattening of the upper flow before it goes back to the same old story. By the end of the period, you've got actually troughing in the west and troughing in the east and a ridge in the middle, if this winds up verifying. So again, really no big changes that I can see. Weather models, the European's pretty consistent. The European has actually been a bit better. The GFS in its usual way wants to occasionally show the pattern shifting around a little bit, but that does not seem to be what reality is when we get to that point. So I'll just we'll back up here from the GFS. So you can see through the east, you got these pop-up storms, weak disturbances moving through, and then there's a more pronounced cold front here on Friday that shows up. You can see it right there, warm front, cold front, south-southwest flow, very warm, very humid air in the east. Nice push of dry air here coming down into the northern and central plain states. And then that front makes it to the east coast by Saturday morning. Some of that dry air holds together. It's actually a pretty nice little push there of slightly cooler, drier air for next weekend. And then the next system gets ready as the next upper trough swings around. So by Monday night, Tuesday, we've got some more showers and storms. You can see the scattered activity going around in the Gulf states. Here's yet another front with actually a fairly decent size high coming down as we round out to about August 10th. That holds together in reality. And then that front comes through, and there's a nice dry push of air to take us into the middle of the month. And then out that goes, and then here comes the next one. So pattern is pretty straightforward here at this point, folks. So we're just going to have to look at this every day and see if there are any subtle changes. I'm thinking, that little surprise that we had yesterday, waking up to Tropical Storm Emily, however small it was. I know a few people were kind of questioning the whole idea that they actually did the Hurricane Center did what they did, but I'll just, that's their job. If they saw that the criteria was there and they met it, then that's the case. And I know there's some people arguing about it. I can remember a time when whole tropical storms would form and become well developed before they were acknowledged. One going back into the 80s and before. So Now they seem to be ultra sensitive with regards to some of these systems. That's, I don't work there, so I can't comment really on the day to day. If they felt that the criteria was there, I defer to them. All right, folks, have a great day. Enjoy the good weather. Head for the beaches if you can. Head for the pool if you got one. If you don't want, make friends with somebody who does, and stay cool. Very warm, very humid, but at least it's not off the wall heat. And we'll chat some more in just a couple of seconds as I'll get ready for that. Just a couple of seconds as I'll get ready for that. Okay, I think I'm here, so let me just make sure my audio's turned on and off. Somebody could give me a shout out to let me know that you can hear me. That'd be great. So let me just mention a couple of things. Those of you that might be in the Long Island area, I will be at the Lindenhurst Library on Saturday, this Saturday at 2 p.m. That's Saturday, August 5th. We'll be talking about hurricanes, tropical storms, weather patterns, whatever you want to talk about weather-wise. We'll tackle it. And then if you missed that on Sunday, on Monday, August 7th, I'm getting my dates crossed here. Monday, August 7th, I will be in Islip on Long Island at the Connecticut Library. So you can come out to either one, come out to both. We usually have a great time at these things. A lot of weather folks come out and we get into great conversation and great discussions. All right, just a couple of just quick notes as far as the overall pattern is concerned. I hate to beat the same drum over and over again, but you guys probably have figured this out, this whole idea of the trough in the east, ridge in the west. It's nothing especially strong on either side of the equation, but it's just enough to keep weather systems moving along and just enough to keep it from getting too hot and too humid for too long. And I think that's just pretty much where we're going forward. The thing that's changed in the tropics is that we've got that big upper low that was sitting in the Atlantic for the last 2 weeks. That's just about gone now. So the upper air wind conditions are becoming less hostile at the very least. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something fire up there in the next couple of weeks. Now, ultimately, where they wind up and what they do, that's a whole different story. And, we can speculate forever about that. But one of the things that I just would like to point out, and I said this back a couple of times over the last month or two, with the trough in the east, ridge in the west scenario, we're going to have to start taking a look at this and see whether that may have some sort of long-term implication with regards to any kind of tropical system along the East Coast. It's basically a dice roll, but we're gonna have to watch to see how that evolves. And some of these troughs on the models are starting to flex a little bit as we go deeper into August. We're going to start to see these cooler air masses come down from Canada, being a little bit more robust. Lasting maybe a little bit longer, and bringing down slightly cooler air maybe with each passing shot. But, that's kind of what you would expect anyway. To me, this whole summer really has a very average feel to it, okay? Temperatures are actually a little bit above average because of the fact that we've had these concentrated 90-degree-plus days in short stretches. But all numbers count. So at the end of the day, the month was a little bit above normal, even though the perception might be otherwise, because I think there were more days where temperatures were closer to average or a little bit below average. So everybody has the impression that the summer is cooler than it otherwise would be. At least that's the case in the New York, New Jersey area. Devlin pointing out the no upper low returning to the central Atlantic, but some low in Bermuda. Well, there's always going to be something out there. I was just kind of, taken by the fact that upper low for the last couple of weeks was just so huge. I mean, that goes way up, way up into the atmosphere, 25,000 feet, up to 200 millibars. It was such a huge upper low that it controlled the circulation all the way down to 20 degrees north and almost to both sides. So, that's a very, very hostile environment for tropical systems. That is pretty much gone. Devlin, same issue in Boston where it seems cooler. Yeah, I have to look at the Boston numbers. I'm really not sure what they are in total. You would know better than that. But if you take a look, I'd be curious if Boston's been above average or below average. I know that upstate New York, I saw something from Albany where I think it's only hit 90 degrees once or twice, and in June and July, and it hasn't gotten above 91 as far as the temperature is concerned. Devlin, a lot of surface high pressure out in the Atlantic, yes, and that's what you're going to see this time of year anyway, the big Bermuda Azores high taking hold. You have to have sort of that balance between this trade winds coming in, blowing from east to west, south of 20 degrees north, the upper high to the north, and how strong it is and how far south it is, and the surface high. And then, of course, you're looking at the upper atmosphere with that cold upper low and how it drives the upper air winds. If they're too strong, you're going to have hostile wind environments for tropical systems to develop. The upper level low in the Atlantic stall. Well, it's kind of just bound on either side. You got, Ryan, you got a ridge. I would have to look at the whole profile, which I didn't, I only gave it a view a couple of times. But, you get those systems that go way up into the atmosphere, they kind of get trapped for long periods of time and certainly longer than the bottom part of the atmosphere. Probably just kind of blocked or trapped around a ridge. I don't know specifically what the reason is why that upper low sat there for so long, but they do tend to do that. No 90-degree days in July for Albany. Thank you, Raymond, for letting me know about that. Yeah, Christopher, I think the tropical activity yesterday was pretty much symptomatic of where we're going with respect to tropical activity. It should pick up. Albadin, go to the Hurricane Center's website to see the water vapor imagery. You can go to nhc.noaa.gov, click on data and tools, and you'll see satellite. And when you go down, you scroll down on the satellite page, you'll see all the water vapor imagery options along with all the others. Okay, nhc.noaa.gov. The click on data, and I think it's data and tools or just data. All right, so, and of course, yeah, if you want to look at maps, the maps I use, tropicaltidbits.com. I can't say enough about how great that website is, and you weather geeks out there should use it, tropicaltidbits.com. And what's really cool, by the way, if you click on the current storms tab on tropicaltidbits.com, you've got every tropical system on the Earth that is active, all of it on one page. So if you're a tropical storm or hurricane buff, that's a great resource to have. You can go there, you look at everything all on one page, satellite loops, spaghetti plots, analogs, all kinds of weather stuff. Yeah, Tropical Tidbits is absolutely awesome. Levi Cowan is great. If you do use his page, hit his PayPal button every once in a while because he deserves it. All right, folks, I'm going to call it a day because I got stuff to do and I got to get to work. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it greatly. You can check out latest website posts on meteorologistjoecioffi.com and on weatherlongisland.com. And Angry Ben forecast for New York City on nycweathernow.com. You can download my app and subscribe to my forecast. The app is free, 99 cents. Will get you a subscription for your zone, New York City, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, or Eastern Pennsylvania, depending on where you are. And it costs less than a cup of coffee, just $1 a month. So you can do it that way. And of course, if you are new to my YouTube channel, thank you for being here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is absolutely free. Just turn on the notifications and you can get all sorts of notifications when I'm doing these live streams, which is usually once a day. All right, have a great rest of your Tuesday, folks.